Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar live. My name is Matthew Amato, Global Marketing and Public Relations Manager for IBS Electronics Group. So now let's introduce our latest and greatest, Mr. Saurabh Tavakoli, also known as Rob Tavi. He's the Managing Director of IBS Electronics Group, and Super Manna, Miss Manna Kadar, CEO and founder of Manna Kadar Beauty.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for introducing us. And before we get started, I just want to first give some that's a gratitude to some people out there. I would like to first thank all the frontline workers, doctors, service workers, and law enforcement. You are all leading by example, giving us a hope of courage during these challenging times. And second, I'd like to thank my beautiful wife and partner, Manna Kadar, for participating in our first webinar together as a power couple. And also like to give some debts of gratitude to my IBS Electronics global team. Thank you for believing me as your leader and all the crazy ideas I have moving forward in this dynamic market. And also I'd like to thank all our customers and partners for giving us opportunities to serve you with supply chain solutions. I'd like to thank you all for this.
So we're really excited to get started here today. Keep in mind, we do want all of you guys to send in your comments. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and linked through LinkedIn. So make sure you do send any of your questions or comments. That way we can help answer any questions that you have or offer more solutions. So to get started, let's have a little bit of fun here. So first, Miss Manna Kadar, what is something fun most people don't know about your spouse, Rob Tavi?
Well, I think everyone knows that Saurabh is really fun and has an infectious laugh. But when he was younger, did you guys all know that he was a champion RC car driver?
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes.
That's really exciting. So, Rob Tavi, tell us something that we don't know about Miss Super Manna.
Well, I can say one thing. She's an amazing mother to our two beautiful children, Shayla and Mason, and our beautiful fur baby, Dougie the Doodle, which you probably can see. He's sitting there behind under the desk for me. And also, I'm the biggest kid at all, and she's taking care of me as well. So she does an amazing job with that.
That's great. So I'm sure you can see how they're really able to manage their work-life balance and really thrive with their new businesses and existing businesses to really revolutionize the industries that they're a part of. So now we have a question regarding how do you manage your work-life balance? So Manna, please give us some insight regarding how you manage your work-life balance so successfully.
Well, I think we have a lot of support around us. And I think beyond the support, it takes a lot of planning. You know, Saurabh and I both travel internationally. Well, we used to up until about a month ago. We travel internationally, domestically, very, very often. So, you know, we need to make sure that our schedules are aligned. So we typically like to have one parent at home with the kids at all times. And second, we communicate, you know, what are my strengths? What are his strengths? So that we know that, you know, that person is handling what they should be handling. Like I generally do all of the calendaring. Saurabh is probably not the best with administrative skills and or scheduling. So then I handle all of that piece of it. But, you know, I think we just need to we're just supportive of each other. And if I have a last minute something or another, then the other person just picks right up and handles it.
Yeah, I can add to that. On that is one thing is too, as two leaders coming to we're both type A personalities. You know, how do we work on this as coming home, being a leader, and then coming home in the home place with our family? How do we, you know, how do we work that together? How do we shut off? We come on, but I think we really complemented each other because for me, one thing that's Manna has done is giving me more of an organization. I always had like she was the igniter for the fuel of my rocket. You know, we came together. She really gave me the empowerment to even move to become a better person, become a better leader, better father, and it really helps me in anything. It quantifies everything in my life that goes from working with our kids, having more patience, and also working with my team, with my global team, with different cultures. You know, we really come together and have a synergy And also we invest in ourselves. And the one thing I'd say, everybody out there, number one thing is invest in yourselves, the continuous learning. I mean, being vulnerable, we do a lot. We do a lot of continuous learning in our relationship, invest in our relationship, communication skills, conflict resolution. These are a lot of things that not you just have in the office workplace, but you have to have at home. And if you don't invest in just your skills at the work, but also don't invest in skills at your home with your partner and with your family, it's very challenging to have a successful relationship and a bond moving forward. So I can see a lot of these skills. I mean, to be honest, we do, to be people out there who are married and have kids, we have marriage therapists we've been going to. We don't have problems, but you know what? It's helped us through these challenging over the last year. It's helped us with communication, especially during these times. Very challenging. We have bad days, business shut down, we can't have employees coming. These are the things that we learn how to feed off each other, and those skill set that we learn through those counseling sessions or through the books that we read has really allowed us to be dynamic and keep the positivity of moving forward. So that's one thing I say for people out there is these are things that we do to train ourselves and continuously improve.
That's really great. I think we can all take something from that and apply it to our own personal or professional life. This is really great. So let's move on from this question. Our next question is for Rob Tavi, and this is: prior to this pandemic, did you have a business continuity plan in place? And if so, how is it implemented successfully?
Yes, now business continuity, and make it simple. Our business, IBS Electronics, is in supply chain. We provide, let's say, for example, the cell phone. The cell phone has a lot of different, say 100 different components in it. We supply a lot of these components to manufacturers, mostly in the Far East or in Asia region. They're designed in the States and out there. So for a lot of these manufacturers that we deal with, they have a supply chain. And about 5 years ago, a lot of this BCP started to come into play because of natural disasters, earthquakes, things that uncertain out there that can have to play. A lot of our customers would come to us, hey, do you guys have a BCP plan to become an approved supplier? Do you have a BCP plan in place? And for me, I'm like, a BCP plan? Then I'm like, business continuity plan. What does that mean? And then we had to define that, going to risk management, mitigation. What happens? Example is a natural disaster. You have a supply chain, you have a warehouse, you have people in a certain area, and it's shut down. Just like how we're feeling in the States right now. There's a lot of businesses shut down. And what happens to that? Because the supply chain or essential workforce still needs to work. They need products, they need to build, just like the medical device. All the medical devices need supply chain components to build their ventilators, for example. If we shut down, what happens? Where does that resource come in? So we had to build this, and it took a while, because for me as a builder of research, it takes investment. But the business continuity plan is like, okay, software. How can we be cloud-based? How can we control? My goal about 4 or 5 years ago when we started this was to get, if we can't control everything from our cell phone or access all the data from our cell phone, then we're behind. There's no mitigation of that. So for our to make it very simple, our whole global system management is cloud-based. We have different types of systems of Microsoft, Amazon, our CRM system is cloud-based. So everything is there to reduce the amount of mitigation. If we lose our internet connection in office, our systems don't go down because we can have data from another tool. So these are the points of the business continuity program that we had in place that allows us to be dynamic in pandemics like we're facing today.
That's really
and
great.
I have to say that Saurabh was really instrumental in my business continuity plan. I mean, we had talked about migrating from what we were just doing in the office. I think we were just using like a basic system to moving to like a Microsoft based. We use Office 365 and Teams, and really have we started doing that maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Not really, not too much of a benefit because we were all in the office together, and we didn't recognize until very recently where things like having the cloud-based systems where everyone can share their information was really instrumental in making a fairly seamless transition to everyone working remotely.
Yeah, I mean, I could add to that. I mean, for some of our plain supply chain, we have qualification certifications. You have ISO 9001. We're also AS 9120 certified for aerospace defense. So these types of standard operating procedures, SOPs you have in place, we get audited daily from auditors in these type of firms that say we have to have all these systems that it's a flow process from the start to beginning. From any type of product you're producing, there has to be a flow of a chain that goes across, and you have to have certain parameters of risk mitigation at every single point so that supply doesn't work. As well as Manna has that too for her products and cosmetics, because she has many manufacturers, products, components. They have to make sure that we audit also the manufacturers we work with to make sure they can produce things for her products and they don't have any downtime, because it also comes to her customers. At the end of the day, it's all about business and book and bill. If you can't build or ship, you can't go from that aspect. That's where we come into what we implemented. I mean, of course, we're Microsoft 365. Our whole organization is Microsoft 365. Our ERP is hosted on Amazon. We use a Pipedrive CRM system, and all these three I didn't know. It's difficult. Don't get me wrong, it took us about a year and a half to implement this globally. But I can imagine people that weren't at this point. It took us a year and a half. So imagine people who started to do this last month. It took us a long time because it changed. The habit of change, embracing the change. People don't like change, but right now we're forced. So, but I hope that everybody out there is getting the change and moving forward and trying to adapt quicker, and understanding that these are the technologies for us to move forward and communicate like we are today on this platform that we're using.
That's really great. So now we have another question for Manna Kadar, and this question is, how can technology help you plan and mitigate the potential 3 to 6 month of dip or loss of incoming revenue?
Yeah, so I mean, so many ways, just like we talked about with the, the cloud-based systems for communication. But so my background, I actually, went to SD, studied corporate finance, and actually became a corporate banker. So I think what we can do is, there's so many systems out there in place for us to really plan out what it is we need from like an expense standpoint. So we kind of saw this thing coming, but I don't think that, even with most companies with some type of backup plan, I mean, I don't know if there was a backup plan that could prepare anyone for this. But what we can do is utilize our resources like our accounting softwares for QuickBooks and even like basic spreadsheets to really map out what are our expenses and what is our income. Personally with my company, about 90% of our income was wiped out. So to prepare for that, we really needed to see where we can plan for like a cash flow perspective, what's coming in versus what's going out, and really utilize what's out there today to see, what programs are out there in place and what can you. Dougie agrees with what I'm saying. What you can off from an expense perspective and what we have coming in from like a revenue perspective. Right now I think people really need to maintain their cash position to be in a place where we don't know how long this is going to last for. So how much cash do you need to really ensure that your operation is fully functional for as long as possible?
And Rob, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, I agree. I mean, the technology mitigation plan, it's exactly what it needed. I mean, I think Manna nailed it on the head right there, is what she's done. And don't get me wrong, she's also been an assistant to working together to be able to how to mitigate this, to go through and be ahead of it. And there's a lot of programs out there for companies, just like what we're all facing with the SBA programs, the PPP, and but in those programs to help us, mitigate, employment costs, these type of things, it's challenging, and it's not as easy as you would think it is, because even as a small business owner or as a medium-sized business owner, you have to have all the financial information, and it's the guidance because things are changing so fast every day, and what we're facing today is like how many different forms we fill out. I mean, if any of you out there had to participate in this, there was like 5 different revisions of a form that you filled out 5 times with different banks, different SBAs, that just confusing. And if someone who doesn't have a finance background, who's not just a business entrepreneur, but really is not a finance person, to get all that data, all that information, have it in one place and submit it right away, it's not that easy. It's kind of complicated, to be honest, because everybody's in a hurry to face their cash flow because they have employees, they want to lay them off or furloughs. I mean, we're seeing what's going on. And as a small business, it's very challenging because cash flow is what it is, especially when you make a product or distribute a product. Cash flow is another thing, because you have inventory costs, you have operation costs, people pay you on terms. These are the types of things that we have to manage. And how do we manage 1, 2, 3, 4 months out? As Manna says, is 3 to 6 months. You can have a gap of customers coming to her and say, hey, sorry, we know we owe you money, but we're not going to pay you for 3 months because we're having issues. So it's a flow. It goes back, and Dougie's really upset about that. He's really upset about that. So he's trying to say, I want my dog food, my gourmet dog food, or whatever he needs, but he can't get it because there's no cash coming in. So, but these are the things that we're trying to work together. And for everybody out there, we feel the pain because we felt it directly. We understand the businesses. We understand a lot of people are out of jobs. I mean, it's stress, but the problem is how can we take this, learn, and move forward and be positive about it? Because at the end of the day, we can't let our fears take us back and change our mindset. So we have to move forward and we have to evolve and be stronger together.
So in regards to that, in the current situation, and how can we apply this into the future, how are you currently leading your global teams remotely? So Rob, Tavi, can you please share some information or insight to us?
Yes. So as you guys see, I mean, I extensively traveled for about 20 years. I've been extensively traveling around the world, but heavily in Asia. And most of the time communicating was before the smartphones and stuff was I was traveling, meeting offices. I was doing a lot of rounds, spending 3 to 4 weeks at a time out there doing rounds to different offices. But the technology now, as we've implemented, especially we're very Microsoft heavy, has allowed us to be able to right now, especially to lead with Manna, because I'm creating a lot of video content, because a lot of marketing information. I can talk to them on our Teams or any type of WhatsApp or any type of information out there that I can give them positive information. We can have Zoom calls. Everybody's Zooming these days. The Zoom life is real, and all the different go-to meetings, WebEx. I have every single platform and every app on my phone, on my computer, to be able to communicate with my team in any different geographical location. Don't get me wrong, that's one thing, is how do you lead and keep positive? And that's one thing for me, is really looking to myself, is giving that hope, right? That courage behind them, and is to give them, hey, there is a sense. People working from home, people get a little bit of stuck in their home because their families are there, their kids are there, they're not used to it. It's a change for them. And also the fear of being in front of the camera is new for everybody too. Again, don't get me wrong, this technology isn't like life-changing this year. It's been around for many years, but now you can see many companies have been working remotely, telecommuting, but it's a very small percentage. Now 90% of the workforce is to this point of working community and being in front of the camera. And it is, the vulnerabilities come out because people don't like to put their face. Don't get me wrong, I have been securities too. About a year ago, I had a friend challenge me to, hey, put your life in front of the camera, see what you do to humanize your connection, and lead with your team and show people what you're doing, and do this. And I can say his name out there. Shout out to Alec Hansen, who really challenged me. And this is what things that brought together, and it allowed me to lead my team. And you keep them motivated during these times, even business slows down or different things of natural disasters happen. It allows us to really lead them remotely, give them guidance, and be connected, honestly, 24 hours a day for the support that they need. Trust me, I know my team, I have close to 100 team members. They all have my phone, just to message me anytime, and I always give them that, because, hey, we need to work together and be stronger together to move forward past this.
That's something that I can definitely add to, is Rob is definitely a great leader when it comes to leading with showing empathy and driving us all to be more optimistic. So Manna, what can you add to this?
Yeah, I think, leading, wonderful words, babe. I agree with everything you just said. I think also, leading your team has a lot to do with leading by example. It was really challenging, especially when the first wave of this pandemic hit, where when you are the leader of the company, people look to you to be positive, to have solutions, and to put on a happy face, when in fact those first few weeks were very, very, very challenging, and it's still very uncertain. But I think for your team to see that you have your act together, or some semblance of trying to keep your act together, I think that's important. I think also, conversely, showing your vulnerabilities, and also being very upfront and honest with what we're going through as leaders, makes them understand, and be empathetic for us too, because there's the weight that's on our shoulders right now, and making sure that our teams are gainfully employed. Neither one of us has had to furlough or lay off anyone, and I think we're both very proud of that. And also, having other things in place to keep our teams moving forward. Like, for example, we have a Berkman consultant. His name is Kevin DeAllen, and he does one-on-ones with our teams still. So he's there to almost like a life coach to really guide our team through these challenging times. What are they feeling and thinking, personally and professionally, and how do we become stronger as a team as a result? So just little things like that. I think every bit helps along the way.
Yeah.
That's great. So it sounds like you guys have really invested in some different technology tools that are really allowing you to manage your team and allow them to thrive while working remotely. So what type of ROI, or what return on this investment are you seeing from investing in these new technologies or tools or softwares?
Well, I'll
Rob?
start with that. I'll start with that. I mean, one thing is that we've gone over the technologies of using Microsoft these bases, but for my things is the ROI return is allowing me to scale. Even this time is allowing me to communicate and scale easily. Is one thing for me was we're opening offices in different countries, especially these emerging markets where manufacturing is happening. Is when I plug in, if I have that technology basis of having something that's cloud based, and I wanted to make sure, hey, I hire a new applicant, I want him to be able to plug in his computer to the cloud, have an internal intranet to be able to train them, give them all the tools that's remotely there, and the communication tools very easily to be able to scale operations in each different segment, country, state very easily and grow that. As you know, Matt, because you were involved with some of this marketing stuff and things that we've done with the building an internal internet infrastructure, building a video, building a streaming, building the marketing content, one place that anybody can plug into to build that. So the really investment allowed us, even though the investment actually people say, we're a medium-sized, smaller medium-sized business, and we don't have millions and millions of dollars to invest in software. So it took me time to find software, and Microsoft has a great platform that if you really go into it and look into it, you can build a full thing. And we did it internally. We didn't even bring in consultants, which was something I think we've learned ourselves, that we learned how the whole process works from front to end, and built a dynamic system that we can have globally to be able to scale our business, to be able to communicate, be able to manage, be able to lead, be able to see the opportunities. For me, leading my team is I don't like to micromanage. I'm a very macro manage, I was the visionary, I have the why, and I create the why, and my team does the how of execution, and that's really what I've come into of leading with that. And that technology has allowed me to see what's going on without actually knocking on everybody's, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And that's with a very horizontal style of leadership. And that technology has allowed me to do that, to monetize it and really grow exponentially.
That's great, Manna.
I think it also gives team members a lot of opportunities to excel and to self-lead. So usually with all of these systems that we have in place, it's very clear what everyone's job duties are, what their responsibilities and due dates, right? So there's no need, like to Saurabh's point, no need to like micromanage people, but also it keeps people accountable. Like this is what is going on. This is what you have to do. I think from our perspective, there as any businesses are growing, there's this learning curve and opportunity costs and mistakes that are made. Usually mistakes are very, very, very costly, and of course we're all trying to not make those mistakes. So I think it also helps from a cost savings perspective, where when everything's lined out and everyone understands what the deadlines are. I'm in manufacturing, so if a customer needs a product by a certain date, there's a lot of things that need to happen in order to get there. If the product isn't delivered by that date, we either lose the sale or we have to pay, there's financial consequences that are involved. So when everyone knows what they're doing, we really mitigate and minimize, the chance for errors, and henceforth you save a ton of money along the way too. So I think there's a lot of upfront costs with investing in these new technology tools that over time, I think it really just, pays off in so many different ways.
That's great. It really seems to be helping both of you operate more seamlessly. So now another question for us, given to in regards to the current state of the world. So Manna, can you share some insight into how can we or others create opportunity during a time of crisis?
Yeah, I think there's opportunity all around us, and it really is just a matter of like taking a step back and pausing for a minute and recognizing what's happening here. Like, how is this landscape going to change, and what is this world going to look like after the dust settles, right? So, for example, in my industry, we create products, we create beauty products, men, women, children, actually not children yet, but, pets. And so how is that going to change just from that aspect? So sanitation comes to mind, right? Like I didn't have any hand sanitizer products, and all the hand sanitizer products out there look like this, which is not very attractive, right? So now it's my job to make this integrate into everyone's beauty routine. And what does that look like? Well, you're going to have to see when I launch these products. But that's definitely a segment that hygiene is going to change, and we're going to need some more products that evolve with us. So that's what I'm doing. Rob, what are you doing?
One thing is creating opportunity is there's a lot of opportunity because in my field we have to shift the pivot side of a lot of medical. We deal with medical manufacturing, and also we have an inrush of medical products needed. So creating the opportunity is now for me is also stepping back a little bit, understanding, hey, where are we going? Where is the technology going? Not just jump in front of, hey, I just want to sell medical products from masks or PPE or do this and taking care of this. Because for me also is I had an opportunity to sell a lot of PPE. I have a lot of sources. I have sources all over the world. And for me, I didn't want to do that business of trading and selling. If a government came to me, customer came to me, they want to support PPE, I would do it. But I don't have my ethical moral compass doesn't let me do that. There's a lot of money in it, but it's not. But it's thinking about what I can do for the products that we currently have, and also think about the future, bringing on components that are products that can allow us to monetize them or help bring a solution or possible, technology. What's happening? Everything's cloud-based, computing, data centers, these type of things. It's going to happen. It's going to move. It's pivoting us to move faster forward than we ever have. The IoT. Got to get more into the IoT market. All the things are happening. I mean, Google right now and Apple, you can say, are working on a thing from your phone where you can trace from IoT stands for Internet of Things, that everything communicates together, which is autonomous AI. That's also similar platforms, and how they're communicating, where they can track you and tell you if you're around anybody who had the virus. And they can, and in other countries are actually doing this already, but they're going to do that also in the States, which is, I think, not just for the coronavirus, for what's happening. I think for the future, 5-10 years down the road, if this happens again, this technology is going to really allow us to value, and that's what we have to look for the future. It's not about today, because today is too late. We have to look about how we can adapt to the future and create opportunity for the future after this pandemic.
That's great. And it seems like we do have a lot of people commenting, so we'll be displaying a few of these comments here. Keep in mind, if you do have any comments or questions, please feel free to submit those, and Rob and Manna are happy to answer any of your questions. It sounds like we have some people excited for Manna's new hand sanitizer product. That is a hot commodity nowadays. So it's really great that we have a lot of different people commenting and engaging with us. Remember, do please send in your questions. So the next question that we do have for Manna and Rob is regarding, what have you learned from the COVID-19 pandemic? And to shape your business, how can we apply this or adapt to the new normals of life? What is the new normal? Is there a new normal?
Well, I'll start with that. What have you learned is big thing about this pandemic is the human connection, of keeping connected and having gratitude and thinking and people's safety, because we all get busy in life today. I mean, I can tell for us, how it shaped our new normals is even our family in the last month and a half. We actually have been spending more quality time with our family than we ever have with our kids, and as having two leading, parents working all the time, we actually have to step back and shape the new normal of our lives. Say, hey, we can do both. This work-life balance, we can do both. We can just take a little bit more time to spend with our kids instead, because we're always busy, we're always connected, right? But now we're just as busy, we're even busier, but we are spending more time with our families as well. So the new normal, to me, I'm liking this new normal. I'm liking what's happening. Of course, I like to see my family and friends more and have some more interactions. Of course, that I do, but also with my team is having more connection. I've never had so much connection with my team ever. Usually I travel to Asia every quarter and I see my face to face and we don't communicate, but now I'm communicating with everybody. I'm jumping in sales calls, purchasing operations calls, just saying hello, how's everybody doing, and seeing everybody's face and humanizing that connection, and also giving them positivity and hope that we're moving forward, we're getting past this, and we are all there to support them, because we get down sometimes. I've had down days too. Yes, my significant other man has supported me. Hey, it's okay, we can move past this, because sometimes we all need that positive reinforcement to help us. And right now, what's happening in the world, it's allowing us to be optimistic, move forward, and work together and give that positivity. And so a platform to excel and spread the word. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, we're all having challenges, we're all working together. And if I can give someone a sense of hope and change their day, that's a big thing for me. Just like doing this webinar, giving some people what we're doing, how we're adjusting, what's shifting, is really having us to the new normal, to adapt to the business, to the day living, and to the change of this pandemic that we're living in today.
Yeah, I mean, from definitely from a personal perspective, we're spending more time together, and it really was nice to take a step back and go, okay, like, you leave at the end of the day and there's just certain things that you need to prioritize and you just don't get to, because I want to go home and I want to hang out with my kids and have them ride bikes down the street. But from a business perspective, it's really taught me a lot of things. You know, prior to this pandemic happening, our company was on a 40 to 50% trajectory of growth year over year. And so we were so busy focusing on being reactive to that business versus being proactive to all of the things that we could be doing. Let me give you an example. So in finance, you should never have concentration in business, meaning you shouldn't have too much of one area of business focused on either a customer or a segment, right? I failed, and I totally, did not follow what I was educated on and what I knew already, where I had about, let's say 90% of the business in retail distribution. It wasn't necessarily one customer, but it was a very large segment of business. So when that was taken away, immediately you have to go into problem resolution mode. I think, a lot of business owners, especially the successful ones, we have problems every day. It really is about how do we solve those problems and come up with solutions where we can really get ahead. So now, okay, there goes 90% of the revenue stream. Well, fine. We fortunately still have, other revenue streams, which were direct to consumer. We have box business and some other channels as well. So then we took a step back and started focusing on those other areas and really making those robust, where we are expanding all of our e-com type of business to where there's so much opportunity there. We just didn't take the time to pause when we were so busy, right? Being reactive, that we didn't explore and prepare for those strategies. And I think that goes back to like that business continuity plan, not just for like disasters, but for these types of situations where what if something major happens with one customer or one segment? You really have to be able to move quickly and to repair what was lost.
Yeah, I mean, I could add to that. One thing I could say is, let's give a little shout out to Manna, who has actually an Orange County Business Journal. I just got this fresh off the press. It's the retail new normal, and she has a whole article about what's happening, how she's explaining what's going on with the retail business and the disaster. So, she's not only this, she's also on the front of the Orange County Business Journal, which is, part of her accolades that she has, but always on, in front of everything. But being an example and showing, doesn't matter if your business is down, we still have to keep moving forward, keep positivity, and spreading the word of our experiences and what we've learned from what we're doing daily life, and give it to other companies out there. Because sometimes it's not our success, sometimes it's a failure that helps other people and allows us to be successful in the future and give that influence to other people, and not to make that mistake. Because our friends, families, coworkers, company, even competition, we're all working together. And that's one thing it is. And this is, even if you're a competitor, you are not, we are all right now together. I don't want my competitors to fail. I don't want anything. I want everybody to succeed in this. We need to get past this. We need to keep our employees, we need to keep everybody up and work together. There's no more, as I said, leave the egos. I'm work at my gym, my coach always says, leave your ego outside the door when you walk in here. And that's what I would say for our workplaces. You have to leave your ego outside the door, because you come in here, you have to have empathy, you have to have gratitude, and work together. Forget about your ego. Put that back there, especially in a time like this.
So that's really great. I think we can all take something from this and apply it to our personal and work life. As Mercy just said right here, she says, we're all in this together. So they say we're all in this together. It sounds like we are in this together. So we all can learn something from this and apply it. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. This concludes our first webinar with IBS Electronics Group. Thank you, Manna and Rob Tavi, for being our guests. And it was a pleasure being your hostess with the mostest. So we look forward to more in the future. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end for today?
Well, first of all, thank you all for listening. Thank you for this. To be honest, the vulnerability of being live on something we haven't done this platform before, we didn't know how it was going to go, and it's gone well, and I love it. Thank you, Matthew, for moderating this. Thank you to my beautiful wife, Manna, Manna. And I always leave everybody with this. Remember, guys, be smart, be thoughtful, be generous.
Have a lovely day, everyone.